What's going on, everybody? It's Childish. We're back after the game, coming at you with another Summoners War video. And in today's video, we got a special one for you all. We're going to be doing some interviews over the course of the next week or so, and the first of which is going to be the second place runner-up finisher of the 2022 Summoners War America's Cup, Truewhale. He's in the house here. Truewhale, how's it going, my man?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, always, my man. So again, it's been a hot minute since we've done these kind of interview things. So, Truewhale, what I want to go ahead and do is talk about everything and anything that went down, of course, with regards to the America's Cup here. But I also want to give people a heads up on who you are, what you're about, and just all the backstory here as far as how you found your way into Summoners War. So let's go ahead and start with that, man. Everybody knows who you are, but everybody doesn't know like how you got into this game. Hit me up with that first now. How did you find your way into Summoners War?
Yeah, I had a couple of colleagues at work that were already into this game, and they pretty much got me hooked up. I think when I first joined, I just it was a lot of time invested into really getting the account where it should be. With all the farming teams, resources, right? To get teams to be able to do the PvE stuff, understanding the guild content, but really what really got me motivated, right, to really continue with this game is really the PvP part of the game. Being able to build my own drafts, my own stats, within those drafts, right, and just being able to compete with other players that are doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that too, because that was actually one of my questions that I wanted to ask you a little bit later here. As far as a Summoners War, regular player versus an actual competitive player, like what motivated you to take the next step here? We got a lot of people jumping into this game that are just having fun, but to take that leap and to really push into the upper echelons of like endgame play, like what motivated you to do that?
Yeah, I think it was like the first time I ever made it to Legend Tournament. I think being able to take part of that was really inspirational for me. Being able to play at that level, and I think I came pretty close to my first Legend Tournament. In trying to win it, right, but I ended up losing in the final match. But I think season after season after that, like I just set a goal to myself, like, look, I need to win one of these, right?
Right.
I went back to the Legend Tournament, multiple times, fell short multiple times, but really trying to figure out what I was doing wrong, whether it was my drafting, my way of thinking for the game. But really, I never gave up. I just kept trying my best, and eventually, I was able to win one out of like I think 4 or 5 attempts.
Right.
But it felt great, and then afterwards, I decided to take that first step leap with into SWC.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. So funny. Apparently, you somehow must have like a magic cam to take a look at my questions here, because you literally are getting into everything before I even get into it. So again, fam, a lot of you people that are watching this video right now, you're like, oh, I got a chance to see Truewhale in the SWC America's Cup, but you have no idea how much experience this gentleman has. A former legendary Legend Tournament player, but also just consistent, one of the most consistent tournament players we've had in our community here. I don't even know, what, like 6, 7, 8 seasons or something like that. I mean, you've been doing it for a long time, almost since like what, season 12, season 13 maybe, and we're now into 23.
Yeah,
it's been a long
time.
time.
A while now. Yeah,
it's been a long time. So
yeah,
like you said before, you've learned so much coming up in the ranks here, and eventually you did get your Legend Tournament title. Was there a specific like point in that journey that was like the aha moment? It's like, okay, like I get it, I know what I got to do if I want to be like top tier and move in, and be a competitive player for SWC 2021 and 2022 respectively. What was that one thing that you just said, wow, like I get it now, like this is what I got to do?
Yeah, I think it's after the first few attempts, honestly. Like, I understand that I didn't win it, my first try, right? But really, looking at the replays, understanding, where my mistakes were, right, how my drafts could have been improved. I think all that prep time, season after season, allowed me to kind of evolve into that, top level, high tier, RTA player. And I think really the SWC experience was a real test. I think, I had a okay showing my first time, last year, and really fell short to Big B. But, I learned from my mistakes and turned it around this year. I think the only difference I made is, trying not to overthink my drafts and really, have a cool-minded approach, right? After I beat Thompson, I literally just didn't touch the game for a week or two, and just really prepared just a couple of days before the actual America's Cup this year, and I was happy with the results, but it could have been better if I prepared a bit more.
Right, and that's the competitive player in you. Like, we always could be better. There's always room for improvement there, right? We gotta say it. We gotta get it out there. Let's provide a little bit of content here for some of the up and coming players in the RTA community. Because it's not every day that we get an opportunity to, like I said, interview people at your level. Team building. Everybody talks about it, but one of the things that's vastly different from you versus them is that you are setting up your team in a fashion that it's not only the strength of your account is one thing, but also you got to consider the strength of your players as well. At that particular level, you're literally playing all the same players on a regular basis when it comes to the ladder, but when it comes to tournament per se, how does that different? How do you go about setting up your core teams? Because you got a pretty strong count, as far as units and runes go, respectively.
Yeah, so I mean, my approach has always been about consistency over trying to just take first turn, and like, the thing with first turn with me is that it's really unreliable. A little bit of RNG could really just turn the match just right out of the gate for you. And you learn to see this as you really try to do the same thing over and over on the ladder, right? And it doesn't always work. So I think for SWC, in terms of preparing for with my approach, right, it's really about consistency, figuring out what really works for you best, and really not really thinking about the RNG factor of it, because every time I think about RNG, I just tilt right away. I was like, hey, I just break my phone or just smash a table or something.
Yeah.
But really, just being able to practice scrim. I think scrimming is also a key method as well to be able to prepare for these type of events.
Yeah.
I know, and I have a lot of friends in the community as well too. So a lot of them, we do schedule whenever I have time to just practice, right?
Right.
But really, without practice, you can't really figure out what you're going to go up against. When you do face a draft that you're unfamiliar with.
Yeah, it makes sense. I would imagine, like I say, you must have a really good team in the back end that, I mean, they obviously have to have endgame accounts so they can, have the runes to kind of set up and whatnot here. But I'm assuming that they also have to have the monster boxes, some of the players that you go up against, so that they can kind of challenge you in what, kind of things they would potentially do depending on how you guys go about the pick and ban phase. Is that more or less the way it generally goes down, or?
Well, I think monster box is key, but I really also understanding what the meta is today,
Sure.
right, and really understanding what the key players are, because if you think about the meta today, it's really not really LD dominant anymore. If you think about it, there are a lot of key elemental monsters that that if you do have them, great, you're in great shape, and then you just really focus on the stats, right, to build those units and speed to your teams to make your comps work.
Right.
But really, it's only a couple elemental monsters right now that are really driving the game, in this meta. So, I mean, as much as I love LDs, man, and I don't have them,
Right.
I still have to make use of what I got, which is the elemental Pokédex.
Yeah, actually, funny enough, you were just talking earlier about Thompson, and the matches you did in the preliminaries to kind of move your way in. I was thinking about, I think it was this last season here, where he kind of surprised a lot of us, including myself, where he busted out a lot of regular elemental. You just wasn't going super L like crazy LD like most people do have been in the past here. So it was kind of exciting to see this because, again, ultimately, those are the majority of the use that people have. And of course, with your player here that's going to be joining you here in the World Finals, I mean, he was, he's not one of the guys that has, a ton of LDs as well. So it was nice to see you guys be able to utilize the regular, elementals here to kind of, push your way forward into the World Finals. Super cool. Let's talk about the America's Cup here. That first match you did versus Cepha here, I think you took that one down 4-1. Again, first match in a live tournament, right? I think it's the first actual live one that we had. The other ones were kind of online and whatnot. Tell us a little bit about that. How were the nerves? How was everything kind of going up into the first round?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, it's a bit nerve-wracking. I was, super nervous, but I think what really helped was the fact that we were able to isolate a lot of the crowd noise, through our headphones. In fact, they made us wear AirPods, right, with noise canceling over their provided headphones that actually played with that noise. But it did a really good job because really the crowd, I couldn't hear anything from the crowd. I couldn't hear anything from the commentators. So it really allowed me just to focus. But at the same time, to be honest, my hands were sweating.
Right.
Every time I was able to make a decision, right, on in the game, right. But but I don't know if you guys noticed, but I did take a lot of time as well. Oh shit! Sorry, can you hear me?
Yep, we're still good.
Sorry about that. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know if you noticed, but I took I try to knock the clock as long as I can, in every decision I made, whether it's pre-ban or just, selecting my monsters during the draft. So I think using the time advantage really helped me kind of just calm down as I got, comfortable and adjusted into the match.
Yeah. I was going to say, I mean, I feel like that's one mistake that I generally don't, do when it comes to RTA, especially, having an opportunity to mess around with that in that special league that we just recently had with the RTA format, taking the time, the full amount of time that you got to really consider what we're trying to do here. I feel like that's like half of the reasons why I lose the matches, not just because I make the, incorrect, pick or ban or whatever, but I'm just rushing it and I can't, figure out what I want to do, what I'm trying to do. And ultimately it kind of comes down to my particular like strategy, like what's going on here. Cause at the end of the day, I should have that core team, that the main, 7 to 10 units that I ultimately use. There shouldn't be too much variance, right? Unless, somebody throws something that I haven't really seen before here. So yeah,
Yep.
it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. I
So
can only imagine what Zeppo was going through as well too. So
yeah,
I'm sure he was feeling what I was feeling during the match.
yeah. It's hopefully, like I said, I'll try to connect with Zephyr down the road, see if we can get him on board to get a little chat in, because I'm always curious to get a feel for everybody and how things went down their road. So let's get into like the next big match here, which again, this is kind of cool because you and Big V obviously have quite a bit of experience, and I'll tell you what, man, it literally went down to the very end. You taking it down 3 versus 2. Tell me a little bit about that particular match here. I mean, obviously you were outrageously excited to take that win down, but it was crazy. I mean, it could have gone, to me, it could have gone both ways. Like there was no clear winner
Yeah.
until the very end.
Yeah, no, I definitely felt like my draft was a bit weaker there, and I did luck sack a little bit to win that last match, but
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, like I had my fair share of bad RNG, with
Mm-hmm.
my tournament experience,
Right?
so I think it feels good once in a while to get lucky, so pretty
Yep.
happy about that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that it's funny that you made that comment. That actually reminded me of a former legend tournament match you had versus Obabo. All I have
Yeah,
to say is Naganga. You know exactly what I'm talking about, dude. I tell you what, man.
yeah, I did.
That match here. I don't like. I felt. I mean, I genuinely felt bad. Like I was like, wow, he has this down. It's gonna go to the fifth match, and then the perfect product at the perfect time. Literally got his whole team up and and gave him the win there to kind of secure that tournament there. But anyways, at the end of the day, like you said, you got to focus on what you control. RNG is a part of the game. There's nothing we can do about it. You just gotta have to run with it, and sometimes it works out for you. Sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah,
But
it's part of the game, right? I think a lot of people don't understand it, but it's just part of the game, and
mhm,
if you played the game long enough, you can just adjust to it,
yeah.
whether it's in your favor or not.
Yeah, and if you think about it, like you said, we're talking about turn one versus turn two. If there was no kind of RNG in the game, too, I mean, how boring would the game really be? And it's like, okay, well, if there's no RNG, let's
Yeah,
just everybody be the first. Let's go turn one here, and whoever's the fastest wins, right? That'd be kind of be boring, right? Obviously, there's the whole
yep,
resistance and stuff like that, but yeah. Oh, there's obviously it needs a little RNG to bring that excitement here.
exactly.
So yeah, now of course you take it down for Big V, and a big weight comes off that shoulders here because you're obviously going to be heading off to the World Finals. You come on to Regeki. Unfortunately, you lose 1-3 in that match here, but I will say this: considering what I've seen in previous events and whatnot here, was really excited that you took this one as serious as any other match, because a lot of people, once they get up into that match and they're like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna win or whatever. Like I'm not worried about that. I'm ready to go in the finals. I don't care. Like you were still hungry for that championship belt, so to speak. I'm glad that you stuck it out there. Tell us a little bit about that match.
Yeah, definitely. Ricky was just a better player altogether. I think even before the tournament, he did much more prep than I did, as you already know, and
Hmm.
he deserved that win, to be honest, because I think I was like one of my goals for SWC this year was really just to beat out Big B. I love these
Yep.
revenge type matches, right? And I got my goal. So I think when I beat him, I was already a huge relief that I get to go to Korea. It's awesome. What more can I do in the finals, right? Is what I'm looking forward to.
Yep.
But yeah, with my match with Ricky, honestly, he was just a better player altogether. I felt like my last match, the transition from Big B to Raigeki, was a bit rushed. I didn't have enough much time after I finished with Big B to be able to prepare for that finals match. But you know what? It was fine. My body was drained already. My mind was already, was already drained.
Yeah.
Um, and I was just tired. I was like, I can't wait for this to be done with, right? And I was happy with the results, but they could have been better had I just been more prepared. And I think that was to my disadvantage, right? I should have been, I should have prepared much earlier before the tournament that I did
Sure.
within just a couple of days.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, preparation is a big thing. But like I said, I mean, your experience with all the legendaries, like I said, you can, even if you weren't as prepared as some of the other players, you have enough experience that I know you can do well, and obviously it already shows here. Gosh, one of the things that I wanted to ask you about was for Raigeki, or was for the match versus Raigeki here. Like, I guess it's not so much with just Raigeki per se, but just overall everybody that you go up against. Now, when it comes to these SWC matches here, did you? I mean, I don't think it was possible. I heard something about like the connection being bad here, but generally speaking, when it comes to the preparation aspect, obviously, everybody has different boxes, different rune setups and whatnot here. Are you able to, like, if you wanted to adjust your runes like in between one, matches, one, is that even a possibility here? I mean, obviously you didn't have a lot of time this time, but is that a possibility like for
Yep.
World Finals? You could do that?
Absolutely, yeah. So I think when you're done with a match, right, you get your iPad back from the event coordinators, and then you sit in the back room and wait for your next match. So during that time, whether it's 10, 20 minutes or 30 minutes, you do have the opportunity to still make changes to your account, and then right before you go up on stage for your next match, right, they take your iPad and then they log you into the tournament room, right, and then by the time you go on stage, you're ready to go. So there's a good amount of time for you to actually make changes, or even farm, if you like, right, or even buy packs. But in this case, I didn't have the opportunities after the literally, like, when I got off stage and I went to the back room, it was like, hey, let's do the coin toss, and then I never got my iPad back. So
Right.
after the coin toss, I just went back on stage and I fought Ricky. So
Yeah, I was always curious
I mean,
about that.
I'm not saying it's an excuse. It's not an excuse, but it's just I'm just telling you how the experience was like when I was
Yeah.
up there.
Right. Yeah, that's great. Like, I always wondered about that because I was like, man, I if I recall correctly, the first RTA tournament that they had was the Mobile Masters in 2017 before the SWC, and I'm pretty darn sure that the influencers were not able to change their runes. They had to just kind of go with the flow on that, which again, it didn't really matter what runes were at because at that time I forget what season it was. I think that was the original season one, where violent like procs weren't capped. So it doesn't matter how perfect you set up your runes. You can have somebody proc 2, 3, 4 times and it was over, right? Shouts out to Fwa one time with the 10K chat. I don't know if you remember about
Yep,
that, but that's
I
that
remember.
that goes back. Yeah, that goes back here. Oh man, that was a nasty match. But yeah, anyways, like I said, I was just super excited to see you get into that top 2 spot here and take your ticket onto the World Finals. Really curious to see how things go down because again, you have a lot of experience. You just have a lot of a tournament experience, and now you're gonna have the opportunity to kind of show yourself and see if you could take the crown and be whether we consider to be the best player in the world, right? Let's kind of get
I'll do my
some
best, right?
right. Yeah, just says all you can do is do your
Yeah.
best here. Let's take a step back from tournament stuff here and just kind of get some general questions out of you. Now, this is a crazy question, right? Crazy question here, considering RTA. It's very opinionated about this, but RTA right now, the state of the game. I feel it's at a good spot, but not everybody agrees with that here. Do you feel like it's at a pretty good spot? Do you feel it's fairly balanced? Do you feel like there's a lot of work to be done? What do you think about it right now at the state of the game?
No, I think it's really balanced right now. I mean, like, it kind of goes with what I was saying earlier, right? Like, it's not really a LD meta right now.
Hmm.
I think all the units that are available that are very strong are possible to get, through mystical scrolls, or if you just get lucky, right, or do a blessing. But really, it's a really elemental driven meta right now, and I think it's and because of that, it gives people a possibility that with having these monsters, they'll be able to at least compete, right, and
Hmm.
kind of stay ahead of the meta.
Yeah, I still remember in previous seasons where Lauren and Vertigo were part of the meta. Then we had some Lulu action and some Riley action. I mean, it's a lot of free to play units that were available out there that were outrageously strong, and it felt good because again, you didn't have to whale out. No pun
Yep.
intended, right away. No, whale out and do well. Obviously, if the farming is there, if you get those runes, you can be competitive at the end of the day. So,
Yep.
oh man, that's good.
Yeah,
Uh,
and again, we're talking about key monsters like like Sekhmet, right? Dominic, Miles.
right,
I mean, all these key, Champongs are still pretty, or Oliver, right? For example,
right.
it's still crazy good. And then Nana, of course.
Yep.
But yeah, really, it's really just elemental dominance right now.
There you go. So let's put this one here because this might be hopefully it's not like a hint as to maybe what you might be utilizing in the World Finals here. But you made a comment about a lot of the elemental units that are outrageously strong, super high in there. Is there a unit or two, whatever that you feel may be considered underrated or overlooked, something that's just kind of a really unique unit, maybe niche that could be implemented in the World Finals, maybe one of your either competitors or yourself?
Yeah, I think we'll probably see a lot more of the Win Robo. I know
Yeah,
Ricky was
yeah,
probably the only one that that used it. I mean, I tried to use it too, but I think it might have got banned. I can't remember.
right.
But you know, I've been practicing with it. It is a pretty fun unit, right? Especially you know, for those of us that don't have a Gianna.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But you know, it could be your kind of like your free to play Gianna.
Free to play,
But
yeah.
yeah, I think we'll see a lot more of the Robos in the World Finals.
That'll be fun. That'll be fun. And also, as well, when it comes to the game, I mean, we talked about the RTA and if it's balanced or whatnot here. You know, the game is going on 8 years now. Curious to see how long it goes out here. But the cool thing about the Summoners War community, and I'm going to keep it brutally honest with anybody watching from Comptos here, up until I want to say like 2017, 2018, 2019, somewhere in that range is when I felt that the Comptos team really started listening to us and, you know, taking some of our feedback and really making changes here with a respective amount of time. The first few years, they were just trying to, you know, still getting their feet wet here, and they were just trying to do what's best for them. But as you've already seen between all the free rewards, the events, the free to play community, they can't get mad when it comes to this game versus other games. Like this game is just blown it out of the water when it comes to, you know, hearing our feedback and trying to make some adjustments here with quality of like, you know, so on and so forth here. So all that said, basically leads down to this final question that I have for you. You know, we have an opportunity that basically the community has shown when we, you know, put our word out there. We have an opportunity to change the game for the better. If there's anything out there that you've like felt like if you had one thing to change about the game just to make it that much more better, what would that be and why, in your opinion?
Yeah, fix the LD rates.
Okay, gosh darn
You
it.
know,
Gosh darn it. I knew I should have gave you this
I'll take
question
every
early on.
opportunity
So
to say that.
of course he
I
says
mean,
LD race.
I guess I mean for the amount of money that I spend just for LDs at this point, I mean, I'm still not happy with the results as you can see.
Yeah.
You know, there's just so many good LDs that I'm missing, and I just don't know why.
Right.
You know, it just the race to me just don't make sense. So you know, it would be nice to kind of, you know, get some sort of perspective as to how that could be better, and I'm sure a lot more people in the community would be happier.
Wait a minute. Now let's. I gotta ask an extra question here. This is a question that's gone back and forth with the community. It's literally a hard yes or hard no. Legendary LD scroll. Do you think it would be good for the game? Do you think it would break the game? What's your thoughts on that if they ever brought that out?
No, I think it'll break the game. I think for all of, like most of us that actually spend money on LDs, I mean, we'll continue the method, but just the LD rates just got to be fixed. You know, we want to at least get some results out of what we spent for it.
I like it. I like it. So you heard it here first. Here, come to us. If you're looking to improve the game, improve the LD rates, but don't bring out the LD legendary scrolls. Okay, this is the person that keeps your lights on. Okay, we've already made a comment about that. Okay, listen to this young man. Okay, listen to this young man. Okay, that's it. It's final. Oh man, but at the end of the day, that is all I got from you, man. I know you're working right now. I didn't want to carry this interview out super long. I really do appreciate you taking the time to provide us a little bit of feedback. And like I said, I want to wish you the very best here in the upcoming weeks preparing for the World Finals.
Thank you. No, I appreciate it. I'll definitely be looking forward to the Asia Cup, right? And then seeing who the winners come out of that, because you know, obviously I'll have a high chance to fight one of those with the brackets are drawn.
Right on. All right, guys. So that's going to be it for the video. If you guys enjoyed this video, you all know what to do. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we will see you guys all in the next one. Take care.